to protest martial law. That was in the middle of martial law. Of course, nobody wanted to believe that. So, how come the De La Salle people, Catholic University exclusive, came out during martial law? How could that be? We know the UP, once they were the ones who were going out, even the Andean. But you know, eventually, the Associated Press uploaded in YouTube all their videos, all their footage. Eventually, we were able to see that there's one video there of that incident, which used to be just a urban legend. From the south gate, you will see the LaSallians were coming out, and this was in the middle of martial law. The times were dangerous, and the LaSallians, with the brothers, and other religions, came out in full force to speak and stand and speak truth to power. And I guess that this is the legacy that we're continuing today. When we listen and invite here the Luhans, when we listen and invite here the farmers, when we embrace our scholars from the urban poor sector, when we do our outreaches to the provinces, when there are De La Salle schools, when we do our outreaches when there are calamities, the LaSallian spirit that we celebrate every time we do these things, not just for ourselves, but for the community. And this is the spirit that we all got and achieved because of what happened in February 19. Please follow me.
So this tour is actually being done to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the LaSalle Massacre.
Night before.
Sabi niya, tinakpan lang raw yung ano nila. Yung i-copy paste mo yung ano. Yung nandun, kaya yung conference procedure. Kaya,
There was once a time when Switzerland was occupied by the Austrians. And in one town, one of the Austrian occupiers said, I'm going to put my hat here in the plaza so that everyone who comes passing by the plaza would bow down to that hat, because that hat is big. And then there was one father and son who just came from their hunting, did not know about this rule, passed by the hat, did not do anything, and they were arrested. They were arrested. Said, people who defy me. And I've heard that you're a good archer, he said to the father. Why don't you put your son there and put an apple and shoot the apple with your son there? And of course, this was meant to humiliate him. Of course, he doesn't want to do it. But you know what the father said? The son said to his father, okay lang yan, Dad. I know you're cool. I said, yeah. Let's do it. So, put the apple to the son, the top of the head, the son, and the guy aimed, and it exploded. Not the head, the apple. course, the leader was humiliated. He said, you should jail him. They imprisoned him. But he got out. He was able to escape. And that guy waged a revolution against the Austrians, which freed their country, and eventually was able to kill that leader. That's the story of William Tell. And William Tell, the archer, is the national hero of Switzerland. There's no historical record that he ever existed, but he lives in the hearts and minds of the Swiss people. And not just of the Swiss people, now of the European people. The German poet Schiller actually made a play, a German play out of his story because he was so inspiring. And Jose Rizal translated that into Tagalog. And showed it to Pasiano. William Tell is actually the inspiration for the archer is the symbol of our animal spirit, and I hope that you now know the context of the heroism of our inspiration. But some people would ask, why is our color green? Because I tell you something. The color of De La Salle in the whole world is blue. But why are we green? That's because of the United already. And because a lot of the brothers during my time, we were Irishmen. And of course, you know the story, right? Of that guy. I forgot his name. I'm Irishman. I forgot his name. Anyway, sorry for that. Now, I'm going to tell you something about this. Some people just notice this now. It's actually a very good structure. It's called the Carillon. In UP, there's the Andres Bonifacio Carillon. In UP Los Baños, there's the Jose Rizal Carillon. And here we have the Carillon for the De La Salle University. That used to be in St. Benilde. Right? And this has a context that is very important in our commemoration today. Because Brother Andrew Gonzalez, the quintessential Filipino LaSallian, former president of this university, former secretary of education, willed in his last will and testament that De La Salle should become a carillon that is dedicated to the victims, the brother victims of the massacre, the brother martyrs of the massacre on February 12 of 1945. So each carillon bell bears the name of each brother who died during that. And there were of course 16 brothers who died. There are 16 carillon bells. And I believe that at 4 o'clock you can listen to the bells call. You know, there are stories about Castillo and LaSalle and why they were so hot on each other. But I do not want to tell these stories because I'm actually not sure if they really happened. I was not there. I was here in LaSalle, so I will not tell you.
Yeah, so this is the Marian Quadrangle. Oops.
Okay? As you will see, you have here the view of the amphitheater, the handball courts are here. There, we're there. And also, you will see that on this place we now call the Marian Quadrangle. The flag raising ceremonies every morning were held. Okay? And this is where we also had our graduations. Before, of course, we have to get the PIC. These are the handball courts that were in existence until a few decades ago. And you will see here a post-war, immediately after the war, this photo from the 1950s. You will see the area there. Here at the Checo, you see a brother, and he is officiating a scout program. Now, let me talk about this tree. If you're going to look at the old photos of the De La Salle College, this tree was already here even before the war happened. In fact, this tree was already here when the building was constructed. So if you're going to look at old photos of LaSallians, here on this place you're going to see this tree. And of course, eventually, there's a marker here. DLSU silent history to LaSallian. Silent witness to LaSallian history. It's called bituon. It's a bituon tree. Baritonia asiatica. But there's another important tree here in this place. You know, we're green, and we also would like to show our concern for the environment. And so the De La Salle University and the De La Salle Philippines launched the 1 Million Trees Project, which of course will plant 1 million trees around the Philippines. We were able to achieve this goal before the centennial of the university in 2011. And in fact, we were able to plant additional 1 million trees. But in the 1 million tree, the symbolic 1 million tree was planted here on the very day of the centennial of De La Salle University on June of 2011. And you will see here represented are the different LaSalle schools around the country. So this tree is the 1 millionth. This is, don't be confused, this is the centennial tree, and that's the 1 millionth tree. Okay, let's go. Around you, you will see the different brothers, exemplary brothers. You will see the founder there, but also Brother Conan. Brother Conan was president of the university and was given a Philippine citizenship by Act of Congress. He's technically the first Filipino president of De La Salle University, but of course the first Filipino-born president was Brother Andrew. Let's go to the lounge now. This is the bas-relief depicting the first brothers of De La Salle, Philippines. The 9 founding brothers, Brothers Lemon Pierre, Aloysius Gonzaga, Augusto Correge, Luis Camillus B. Joseph, Selma John, or Brother John building, the other side, Imar, William, and Martin, Ephesus. So they came here and they established the first LaSalle School on June 16, 1911. This is the lobby of the old school. There's a driveway there. And before, we had capichels as the windows of each room. You know what they do when the bell rings and it's already dismissal time? The boys would just jump out of the capiche windows to the street. That's how excited they were going home. You know, in the 1950s, there were what we call I was not here, that's why I have to recall. There's the junior police that during their free time, they help the people cross the street in front. See? There used to be that. You see the capichels, windows of the university, of the college at the time. Now, this is Brother Conon of Brother Conon Hall, the first technically Filipino president because he was given Filipino citizenship by act of Congress. When we became co-ed, these are our first co-ed graduates, first female graduates of De La Salle University in 1975. But I'd like to show you something. This used to be the main lobby, of course. You know, our lobby now is there, where you see the Kaido sculpture of De La Salle, St. Jean-Baptiste de La Salle. But this used to look like this. This was the lobby. You see there are tables there, maybe for those who are inquiring. This was the admin building, and this was the admin room, where the director of the university was, and the cashier was there. See? So you have the cashier and the admin welcoming you. Of course, there's tuition and all of that.
Yeah.
Okay? We cannot run the school without money, and we cannot help the poor without our resources. Okay? Now, eventually, look like this. And this was a dormitory. I, Flavius Leo, am the one who's in charge of the living quarters of the students and the brother, and also of the kitchen. I was the one who facilitated that. And if you're going to look at the second floor of the building, this is how it looked like before when you look at Taft Avenue.
Wow.
No LRT, no trains. Now, we would now proceed to the events that happened on February 12 of 1945. Okay. Of course, we were under the United States. Japan entered the picture and occupied the Philippines in 1941. And by 1942, our forces fell in Bataan. We were occupied. They wanted to create a Greater East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere. They wanted the cooperation of Asia under colonialism. But remember that although other Asian nations welcomed the Japanese as liberators, we were quite close to the Americans. And the Americans were already promised to give us independence by 1946. That's why when the Japanese came here, the context was different. They were not welcome. They were people did not like that they were here. No, but the school has to survive. LaSalle actually closed the campus. Ateneo had to close down and Paura. So what happened was, LaSalle opened, but the building is in St. Scholastica. So the girls were there, our boys went to St. Sco, and you know the fun part is, or was, the Ateneans, they don't have school anymore. So they were forced to enroll in LaSalle. And the fun part was, when they were in LaSalle, in St. Scholastica, they were clashing. They were like, nagpapabimuhan sila sa harapan ng mga saints ko. Tumapulasa. Yeah, but that is what happened. Now, the building was so good that the Japanese deemed it fit to become one of their garrisons or quarters. So they had a divider. The Japanese got this side, and the brothers got this side. And we now go to January 1945. 3 years or 4 years on the occupation, the Americans were already coming in pincer movement from the south and from the north. February 4 of 1945, they liberate Santo Tomas. And of course, as we all know, the most destructive phase of any wars, the most deadly, would be the end game. And so, the Archbishop of Manila, Michael Dord, told the brothers, go to Baguio, leave LaSalle. Go to Baguio, you have a novitiate there, leave, because it's going to be dangerous. It was Brother Egbert who said, no, we're not going. This building is strong enough, we can be protected from the shelling. We want the school to operate even, or after the war ends, we would like the school to resume operations immediately. So we would like to protect the school, said Brother Edward. They also felt that since a lot of the brothers were Germans, that if they say we're Germans, we're part of the Axis, they will not kill us. And of course, the other and main reason for it is that people from around the area, because the Japanese were already massacring people, went to LaSalle to take refuge, families. And so they did not want to leave these people and just go to battle. And so they stayed. And that was a very faithful decision. On February 6 of 1945, the director, Edward Xavier, the Japanese came. The entrance that was open was the south side. There's an entrance there. And that is where the Japanese came, February 6, and asked Brother Egbert, how many people are here? And Brother Egbert, he did not know, he did not count how many people were here. And so he estimated in his mind 101. And the Japanese went counting the people inside, had a head count, and there were only 68 people. And this miscalculation proved fatal. Because the Japanese suddenly felt, you're probably hiding guerrillas. There were shots coming from your building. They were suspecting that there are shots coming from your building in the nearby Japanese club, Nippon Club. And of course, they were already suspecting that Brother Egbert and someone who was also here, Judge Carlos, had contacts with the guerrillas. It was suspected that one of the friends of Brother Egbert Miss Campos, was one of the spies of the guerrilla leader Yay Panlilio, wife of Marcos Agustin, or head of the Martins guerrillas. And so, because of this, they arrested Brother Egbert, Xavier, and Judge Carlos took them away. We did not hear of them ever since. Some of us, when we went to the chapel, there's a window there, saw that there were two bodies hanging on a tree at the Rizal Stadium. And some of us believe that it's probably Judge Carlos and Brother Xavier. But we are not so sure. And so we stayed. We were with the priest from Redemptorist. His name is Father Francis Crossgrave. He was the one administering to our spiritual needs at that time of crisis. What happened was, because of the war that was happening, there were no supplies for hosts. There's only one Holy Eucharist left that is in the Blessed Sacrament. Said, you have to consume this. This one remaining before all of this place would fall. And so, Father Crossgrave said a Mass and gave that one single host to myself. He felt that I was the most pious of all the brothers. And of course, I felt good about it. The next day, February 12th, the Japanese actually came, and on the other side, there's the stairs, and you have the cellar. There's a door going to the cellar. The cellar is actually downstairs. There's stairs leading further down to the wine cellar. But at the front of the door, we were actually eating our lunch. The Japanese came, and one of them even ate with us. We were nice to each other. And anyway, we were under the same sky. We're all human beings. The next part of the story, we have to go to the place now.
Facebook page for the live stream.
Ka-private kasi. But later I'll tell you.
Please come in, everyone.
Please, please.
Now, what happened was, When the Japanese left, Father Crossgrave and myself were sitting here on the boxes. And then from the south side, I've heard some screams. They're attacking the building already. And I can understand Japanese, and I said, this is the end. And so I told Father Crossgrave, Father, absolve me. We're all going to die. What happened was, Father Crossgrave gave his absolution. He hadn't finished when the Japanese struck me in my heart. I was the very first one to fall. They also struck Father Crossgrave in the armpit. He also fell. And because of that, the people who were here scrambled already, going up, going to different places. Some of them went to the cellar, went down to the wine cellar. But those who were not able to go down the stairs, the Japanese entered this place. So that some people here, and brought them out. And they were all lined up here. Those who went out, lined up here. And they were made to face the wall, and they were all shot. Mrs. Vasquez Prada, Helen Vasquez Prada was here on the stairs. And what happened was, she had three of her children with her. They stabbed her, they stabbed two of the children. Reynaldo Vasquez Prada, one of the little kids, plays dead. But you know, they also stabbed him, Reynaldo, and Mrs. Vasquez Prada was so mad. Took the baby and covered him, and she shouted expletives to the Japanese. And because of that, they played around with her parts of her body. They cut them one by one. She did not die immediately. She survived for another 2 days with all those wounds with her. And then of course the Japanese went up, going to the chapel where a lot of the people actually went. Most of the killings would happen there. But just to show you the magnitude of the rampage that happened in this first floor, you have here what the Americans took when they came. A pile of dead bodies. And you see the railings of this arch there. The door of the wine cellar opened. This is actually the original. You will see an original photo of the door of the wine cellar, and you will see this metal here. And now for the first time on tour, this is the 7th tour of the LaSallian Historical Tour. We'll now let you enter by batches the wine cellar. Of course, they have cemented it already. There's no more. There are no more stairs going down. But again, this used to be the wine cellar. So please come in. There were people who were able to survive. Those who were able to go further down were not killed by the Japanese, and they were able to survive. And from the LaSallian Philippines archives, you will see some of the victims of the massacre, and you will see some of the photographs of the brothers and the massacre. daw eh. There were, on that day, aside from Brother Egbert and Judge Carlos, there were 15 brothers who died. We include Brother Saber, 16. And on that day, there were 24 civilians who died, excluding Judge Carlos. The names of the brothers are here. Our faces, that's me. The very first one to fall on that day, February 12, 1945, Flavius Leo. We now go inside to continue our stories. There is a dead brother. Most of the brothers actually died protecting people. Some of the children, they were able to cover with their bodies. 20 minutes. It only took 20 minutes for the massacre to happen. For the rampage, the brutality to happen. Some of the people were able to escape by using the spiral staircase going up the second floor of the sacristy. But the lot of people were not able to escape. They were all killed here, protecting people. The brothers were protecting here, but the Japanese just killed them anyway. You know what happened? The Vasquez Prada family, Enrique, the father, was actually at the comfort room when the massacre happened. He did not come out. In the evening, he saw his son, Fernando, still alive. They saw a can of sardines and he fed Fernando. By night time, when that was happening, the Japanese came back again and thrust a sword on Enrique. Fernando placed dead again. He was able to save himself. He was a very young boy. You know what the Japanese were doing? They were leaving glasses of water just so they can check again if the water is gone. That means their people were still alive. And they came here a number of times more. That those who survived were only able to hide at the back of the altar, down the white cellar, and the second floor sacristy. And you know who rises up from the first floor? By 11 p.m. Father Francis. He struggled to walk to these halls and saw the dying. You know, the brothers were still actually alive. They were breathing. They were wounded. They were about to die. And so, the only thing that Father Crosby was able to do was to give comfort to the dying by giving them final absolution. And this is depicted in the memorial that we have. Most of the brothers actually died in front of the altar. There used to be railings here, and those railings were the place where most of the brothers died. You will see the stairs were set for sacristy, where some of the people say. And just to show you how much you will see that after the war, there were still marks of blood around the ground. And some of the alumni were saying that they were still able to see those marks of blood when they were there. That's why I always tell the students of LaSalle today, you know, some of them, I hear them, they're not so proud to be LaSalle. I wish I was an Atenean. I wish I passed you. But you know, I tell you something. The university is sacred ground. Because the continuation of the university blossomed and was paid for with the blood of the martyrs. They were helping people. They were helping national liberation. And they wanted the school to continue so that us, the future LaSallians, will be able to be here. And so, I always tell my students that LaSallians, you should feel great that this is us, this is our legacy. This is the LaSallian brotherhood. It's not just the brothers. It is now, we are now part of it, as part of the LaSalle family. In the end, we would like to go back to the founder. Like the Martyrs, we had a hardship. He was persecuted. St. John Baptist de La Salle. His relics, along with some of the LaSallian saints, are here in this relic park. And I hope that as we go back to St. LaSalle, we go back to faith, service and communion, we go back to St. Joseph, the Father of Jesus, from whom this chapel was used to be named during the massacre happened. We go back to Mary, and we go back to Jesus. But we also do not forget the heroism of the 16 brothers who died, and the brotherhood that they gave us as a legacy. That we continue on today when we give ourselves to our people. As LaSallian professionals, eventually, and as good Filipinos. Saint John Baptist de La Salle,
Pray for us
give Jesus in our hearts
forever.
forever. Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone for joining us in this tour. For those who just came, this is a tour in cooperation with the history, the LaSalle History Department, Sociedad de Historia, and the LaSalle Philippines. It is on the 7th year of its tour, the first year of opening going down the cellar. And we invite you to attend our other activities. There will be the unveiling of the NHCP marker there, and the maquette of toy Mickey-Mouse of the De La Salle brothers. We also invite you to see our photo exhibit, A Test of Faith, a testament to the heroism and martyrdom of the De La Salle brothers in the 6th floor of NHCP. Thank you very much.
It's also important that you attend at 12:45 the lecture on the massacre, the academic lecture of the historian of the university, Dr. Jose Victor Jimenez. And at 2:30, please attend. It's a very big event, a very special one, the commemoration at the Teresa Wildcheck Auditorium. It's called Kapatiran LaSalliano, Pagsubok at Pagpapa. And at 5 o'clock there will be a mass here, the site of the massacre. And at 5:30 to 6:30, at 6:30, there will be a very special replay ceremony for the memory of the brothers at the Brothers Memorial and Octopus's Garden. So again, thank you very much on behalf of the DLSU History Department, Chairman Dr. Florina Orillos-Juan. Thank you very much for coming. I'd like to invite everyone to have a group photo at the house. It's customary. Thank you.